Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar about the good life abroad in Barcelona, Spain. A bit of housekeeping before we get started. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be emailed to you tomorrow, so check your email. Whether you are attending or if you registered and were not able to attend, you're getting this recording in your inbox tomorrow. And at the end of this conversation, we'll have time for questions and answers. Please use the Q&A icon in your Zoom toolbar to submit your question. Do not raise your hand. Do not write in the chat box. Use the Q&A box to write your questions, and we will address your questions at the end of the webinar. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. I'm Andrew Motiwalla, the founder and CEO of The Good Life Abroad, and I'm here today with Tina Hernandez, our community manager in Barcelona, and a very special guest, Sue Menke, who is an alumni of our Barcelona program earlier this year. Let's get started. All right, first of all, just to talk about the basics of The Good Life Abroad, since many people may not know exactly what it is. The Good Life Abroad is not an apartment rental service. Let's be very clear about that. But it does include an apartment as part of your program fee. What we are is fundamentally a community-based travel experience. So you have an apartment, and there's other people in the group who have apartments either in the same building or in the immediate vicinity in the same neighborhood. And so you have this built-in community, but you also have a local community manager who is there to support you to make the most of your time in that city. In addition, we provide travel medical insurance, which also supports you. If, unfortunately, something were to happen, we can provide access to English-speaking medical care. And that community manager puts on a series of events and activities throughout the month that allows our community to come together and form friendships. And we do have some optional wellness programming for those who want to perhaps join a gym or yoga or Pilates. All these things are available to you as well. So that's the basic overview of the program, and now we're going to dive deeper into each component of the program.
A lot of different cultures merge in Barcelona, and you have so many things to do at the same time. It's a city, but it's also a very kind of like chill place. Like, like you can go from the theater to just like sitting on a terrace, having a glass of wine with your friends, and that's it. So there's never a dull moment in Barcelona. That's what I like to say about the city.
And Sue, tell us about you as someone who participated on the program. What made Barcelona special for you?
Well, we were amazed that we like to walk, so we walked and walked and walked. And every time you go around a corner, there's something spectacular. The architecture is so beautiful. The food is amazing. We did walk by the beach. I mean, this was in February again. Everyone's eating outside, outdoor dining. I love that. So it was just a surprise every day. Every day was so interesting. And then if we didn't feel like going a day because we were tired, we could just walk out the doors and go to a coffee outside, have some coffee or just relax. It was amazing.
So the city, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. There's a lot of famous places in Barcelona. You may have heard of Sagrada Familia, but one of the things I think is so great about the Good Life Abroad in Barcelona is that you can go way past the main tourist sites. I am not picking on my mother. I love her. But when I started this whole business, she said, why are you doing this? Who would go to Barcelona for a month? I've been there, Andrew, and I saw everything I need to see on my list in about 5 days. So wouldn't people just get bored? And I think, no, the city has so much to offer. And by being there for a month, you can really get to know all the things that the city holds beyond just those tourist things. And I'll jump a little bit more into it, but one of the things that everyone seems to do is Las Ramblas. And I'm going to talk about this specifically for a reason. And you see here these cruise ships, right, in the marina. And one of the things I wanted to bring up is we get a lot of questions around anti-tourist sentiment.
and I want to just talk about this directly head on, is those cruise ships pull in here and thousands and thousands of people get off of them. And most people will just kind of walk up Las Ramblas and maybe look around, and maybe they'll go to Sagrada Familia or they'll do a shore excursion, but they stay in a pretty concentrated part of town. And that's the area where you see any sort of anti-tourist sentiment, where neighborhoods where people used to live are now, instead of going to the market to buy a bottle of water for, €1, it's €5 because people will pay for it. Or instead of being able to buy groceries, it's, I Heart Barcelona t-shirts. And it's sort of really changed the character of a neighborhood. And so people are understandably not happy about that. That said, in all of the Good Life Abroad programs, we do not stay in that tourist center. We purposely look for housing that's removed from that tourist center. And in this case, we stay over here near the Arc de Triomphe. And you can see this sort of yellow shading from, this is a Google map, sure, it sort of shows where the hot spots are. And you can see we're sort of on the edge of it all. It's still very walkable and near everything that you might want to see, but it's not on this main drag. And so part of the program is to pull you away from just the normal tourist sites, and therefore you integrate more with the neighborhood. And I don't know, Sue, if you felt any sort of anti-tourist sentiment, but from what I've heard, because we're not just right in that main drag, it's sort of like we're not sticking out like a sore thumb, and we're a little more integrated into things.
We didn't feel any, but we didn't go on Las Ramblas very often because there's so many other interesting places that we already saw with the tour. With one of the walking, it's kind of boring to us actually because there were so many other interesting things.
Tina, any comments on any of that?
Yeah, I like to say, like, I know most of the people get this from the news, and sometimes when you look at them in here, there are like 100 people doing this, like they're not even big protests, but in the news, it always looks like bigger than what it is. Also, like it tends to kind of like escalate something that it's not that big either. Like, yes, they're real, but at the same time, the way we do tourism with the Good Life Abroad, it's completely different from the kind of tourism that they are actually, condemning. So I've been like having people writing me emails about it, like the protest, while I have groups on the ground that doesn't even realize that there's been a protest, like it's very common for like being here and not even realizing that there's been a protest until they watch American news and they see it. And then they ask me like, hey, this happened yesterday. You're like, where? So it's not as it's being put in the news.
Yes, it's obviously sensationalism drives clicks in the news today. The other thing I'll say is, and you know better than I do, Tina, because you live in Barcelona, but there's a lot of protests in Barcelona, and especially in Plaza de Catalunya. Every week there's a new protest. It's about the power company, about this, and so it's sort of like a fixture in the background.
We are a very active community when it comes to our rights.
I'll just mention travel time. So people ask, is transport from the airport included? And the answer is no. People can go to the apartment on their own when they arrive. And there's a few different ways. And the city, while it is a big city, it's not that far to get from the airport to the city center where we live. In taxi, it's about 30 minutes. You can grab taxis right outside of the airport. There's also subway. If you can navigate the subway, Google Maps is a great tool for that. You can get there in about 45 minutes. And then there's also an express bus from the airport that makes a stop along the way that gets you very close to where we'll be staying. And it's called the Aero Bus. And that's about 35 minutes. So that's sort of a geographic overlay of the city and kind of showing you where we are in relation to some of the major tourist sites. But as I said, the city is, or like Sue said better, it's like there's always a new adventure every day to be had because it is a very big city and there's so many beautiful things to explore. But where we'll stay, let's focus on housing. So in 2026, In 2025, we've sort of had a hybrid version. Some people stayed in some apartments over here, and then some people have stayed in these apartments that we're showing you on the screen. In 2026, everyone will be staying in these apartments that we're showing you up here on the screen, right near the Arc de Triomphe. We sort of did some experiments in 2025, and people said, no, this is definitely preferable. So we've decided to move everything there. And these are nice modern apartments. There's an elevator, and there's a rooftop pool. There's a small gym area in there. And this is where Sue stayed. Sue, any comments on the apartments? How did you find them?
Well, we really enjoyed our apartment. So being from the US, the one thing that maybe we had to get used to a little bit was that we didn't have a dryer. Or if we had the dryer, we didn't know how to work it. We had a washing machine, but not a dryer. But then there was a drying rack, and we put all our things on the drying rack and just had to plan a little bit. So that would be like the only, because it was a very nice, clean apartment. The cleaning people came weekly, which was awesome.
Yeah, I
We
think that's
love
a
the
great point,
elevator. We
Sue, is
love
that in almost all of our programs, because dryers are not as common in Europe as they are in the US, we have washing
right.
machines, but not dryers, and you're provided with a drying rack. And if you're like me and you're a little bit lazy, there's also a laundromat not a couple blocks away, and I just drop my stuff off and pick it up the next day, and it's sort of washed, dried, folded for me, and I like that too. So different strokes for different folks, but yeah, the drying racks work just fine. And you have time, you're
Yes.
not in a rush, you have a month. So it's a little bit of
Yeah.
planning. I've seen a lot of people, they'll put it out and then they'll go for a walk for the day, and by the time they come back in the afternoon, it's dry.
Yeah, it's not common also in Europe to have dryers. Like I know it's a
Right.
very kind of like American thing. Like we don't do necessarily dryers. The thing about not doing dryers is that there's 1,000 laundromats around the city, and they're like industrial, and they will like if you need something quite right away, it's like a 15 to 20 minutes and everything is dry. The other thing is that the Archie also offers drying your clothes for an extra payment, but you also have that like if you need something like super right away and you don't want to wait under your drying rack, you also have like the ability of getting your clothes dry by the concierge. So that's a
Yeah, that's great.
Can
Great
I
thing.
say another thing about the Archie staff quick?
Yeah.
They were awesome. The staff in the lobby, like when I had a back issue from the plane ride over, and I really needed a massage, and they helped me. They made the appointment for me because I could not figure out the website. So they like did it all for me. They were so helpful, and anything you would need like that, those people were there too to be supportive, which was great.
Yeah, that's a great thing about that building specifically is there's someone there during the day at the front desk that can kind of help out with things as well, little things that
Yeah.
come up.
Yeah.
So great points too. So that's where we live. And then, so what happens in the program? You might be wondering, like, what exactly are we doing? So I'll kind of give you an overview of how the schedule works. You arrive on the start date of the program. You're exhausted, tired. We don't really program much. Get to your apartment, you relax. I take a nap. Some people, swear by staying up to the local time. And really, the next day in the morning, we begin orientation. It's about 10 in the morning. It's not too early. Give you some coffee. And the goal of orientation is to kind of teach you the basics of living living in Barcelona, how to take the subway system, where to get groceries, where to get housewares, just sort of general orientation to the city. And then we break, nothing too heavy or onerous. And then that evening we meet for a welcome party and do that at different places, light bites and drinks, get to know the other people in the community. And then basically the whole month follows a rhythm. On Tuesdays, we do the Tuesday Lunch Club, where we get together in different places around the city as a community, have a lunch, have some drinks. That's all included in the program fee. Then on Wednesday, we do some kind of cultural activity. As you can see, we do some walking tours. There's a historical walking tour. There's one on a sort of the history or legacy of the Olympics in Barcelona. We go to Montserrat. And then that's sort of your Wednesdays, cultural day. And then on Thursdays, we meet for a happy hour. It's very simple. We get together. The happy hours are fun. They're a little, maybe not what you think. I think one week we do like a vermouth tasting and how to make vermouth and learning about Spanish wine. So yes, it's having a couple drinks, but it's also learning more about the culture through food and drink. And the end of that month, so that repeats Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the month. And at the end, we do a farewell party and off you go. But what that means also is that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we don't have any programming. And that's very intentional because, again, the idea is that you are exploring the city at your own pace and seeing the things that you want to see. And these touch points are really nice to come together. But again, it's not a tour where we're kind of guiding you through every day. Now we're going to see this. Now get on the bus. Now do this. So I just want to kind of explain how the structure works. And it's really up to you to paint your own portrait of what your experience in Barcelona looks like. Sue, do you want to talk a little bit about some of your favorite activities or events?
So we loved the paella cooking class. In fact, I made paella twice since we got back. That was really fun and interesting. So we really like, I can't think of, the Montserrat was really cool. That was very interesting. But I think the times when we had to chat among each other and with Tina and Patrick were probably like most fun for us because I like to pick each other's brains about, what their life's like, what's going on in Barcelona with this and that. And so those times to chat and really bond, I think that was fun. And then, I really, really like the fact that you had the weekends free because we went to Girona and Sitges twice.
Oh, wow.
And it was super easy. Tina and Patrick helped us figure out how to get there easily. And that was really cool. So having that time to ourselves then to do something else if we wanted to do it, like 5 of us went. So that was really nice.
Nice. Tina, do you want to comment anything about the activities or how or why you chose the activities that you have?
Yeah, we do 2 walking tours. One is kind of like a historical tour, which is kind of like give you the idea of how the city was constructed and born. And then the Olympic tour, although it says Olympic on the title, it's more like because of like the new city develops from that 1992 Olympics that we had in Barcelona. So it's also kind of like the historic modern tour of the city, and you get a full umbrella of the idea of how it was built till now. So I think that's a full circle when it comes to like learning about the city. And then Montserrat, it's one of my favorites. Like every time that I have like my own personal friends coming to visit, I will take them to Montserrat because it's such a special place that I think everybody should like go there and explore it. So we do with the group. The paella class is my favorite. We have so much fun. There's so much cooking, laughing, and wine involved on it that it ends up to be like a great activity. And then the wine tasting, which we do a game, and it's kind of like a poker game. So we all started like really serious and then it becomes really fun. So I think those are my favorite of the program because they like it's not only doing things, it's also like learning while we're doing fun things.
Yeah, exactly. And before any guys on this webinar say mosaic making, I'm not an arts and crafts guy. Relax. It's a fun. It ties into Gaudi and the artistic themes that he had with mosaic, and it turns out to be really relaxing. And also, you can laugh at yourself a little bit, but you end up with a really cute souvenir to take back something you made in Barcelona. That's reflective of the local culture. Now, I said earlier at the start, this is really a community-based experience. And what do I mean by that? So what I mean is the whole thing is cohort based. You have a group of people who are starting this program with you on the same day. But before that, we do a Zoom meeting sort of like this with everyone in your group. You get to meet your community manager. And this is true for all Good Life Abroad programs, any city you go with. So you get to know the people ahead of time a little bit, put a name and a face together. And then you arrive on the same day. And then, as I mentioned, you have this orientation. And then we use WhatsApp, which is a messaging app that not a lot of people in America know, but in Europe, it is what everybody uses. And so we have just adopted that local platform, and it's a great tool. And it's specifically because there's a feature called community, which is what we are. And as you can see in the example on the right, that one's from Florence, but they're all the same pretty much in all of our cities. There's a channel for announcements, and that's where your community manager tells you what's happening. Meet tomorrow at this place. Click the link to the Google Maps, at this time, and be ready for fun. That's kind of one directional, and that's how we keep you informed of what's happening. But then there's these affinity groups that you all, the community members, can create their own. And this just happens to be an example from Florence where someone created a book club and someone wanted to go run with other people, and someone created a channel for solo travelers. And so what's beautiful about this is where people can connect with others in the group who share a certain affinity. And I say this story all the time, but it actually happened in Barcelona. Was the husband created these groups. Happened to be there, and he created the group Cathedral Lovers, and he created another one for sports bars. And I said, Doug, come on, you're joking, you're playing around. And he goes, no, no, no. It's one of the reasons we came on this. My wife would love to go to all the cathedrals in the world, and I could care less, and I want to go to sports bars. And sure enough, he found a bunch of people who wanted to go to sports bars, and she got to see the cathedrals. And it's a funny story, and I tell it all the time. It's particularly poignant because it happened in Barcelona, but it's a great example of how you might not be best friends with everyone in the group, but you could share affinities and have people like, oh, let's go check out this thing. For example, I like food and going out to try little tapas joints. That's one of my favorite things to do. And what happens is that this WhatsApp, becomes the infrastructure on which the community starts to take on a life of its own, really. And I've heard from many people who've done this program, and I don't want to speak for you, Sue, but it's like, yeah, there's the included activities of what the program provides, but we end up doing all these other things because we're all connected, and the community really just kind of explodes into itself, and they're finding other things to do. So I don't know. Do you want to just maybe talk about what that looked like in your own experience?
That's very accurate. So, like in our group, there were some people who wanted to go to concerts. So somebody would put out a message. Anybody else? Because we had a lot of solo travelers. Anybody interested in this? And then who was ever interested went and did that. Our group had sundowners on the rooftop, and that's another thing. Somebody'd say, anybody want to do sundowners tonight and get together on the rooftop at 5:30? So whoever wanted to go went, whoever didn't want to go didn't go. A lot of times we throw out ideas of, anybody want to do this with us, with me, and then you just found your people who wanted to do those things with you. So that was really fun. That was a good WhatsApp worked great.
Yeah. And in terms of like who's in the community, that's the question I have. I get a lot is, okay, I get it, you're community based, but like, so what does that mean? So on average, it varies from group to group. On average, about 15, 16 people. On the high end, it can be in the low 20s. At the low end, it's like 10. On average, again, this is just downloading, numbers into a spreadsheet and clicking the average function. It's 67.5. We have people who are a little older, and we have some people who are a little younger. I think the common thread, though, across everyone is they're pretty well-traveled people. I don't know, Sue, if you found that in your group.
Oh, definitely.
These are well-traveled people. They love travel. In fact, travel is probably a core value to them, right? And suddenly they're able to connect with other people who share that core value. So it doesn't, really matter. I mean, they're from all over the US, primarily US, a few Canadians in there. So as Sue said, there's a lot of solo travelers, about 30% on average. But I think the thing that really unifies them, they tend to be really into cultural immersion and deeper forms of travel.
Yep, I would agree.
Tina, anything you want to add about who the community is or how it functions?
I always like to add a little bit about solo travelers because it's a question, like it tends to be a question, and especially when I already have like sign up solo travelers, they write me a lot of emails, still like a little bit, doubting like how it's the interactions are gonna be. And my experience has been that usually the groups are super well balanced between couples and solo travelers. And they get like it's just like what Sue was saying, like they get so well together, like the community, the activities of the community work so well for the build up that they all start talking and like doing stuff with each other. And one thing that I also seen, and it's pretty funny, but most of our couples have been together for 20 years or more most of the time. So being with other people, it's actually something that they enjoy. Like it's not like couples that just want to travel by their own, it's not like it actually knowing other people and getting other people involved in the activities. It's something that the couples enjoy a lot. So it ends up being group activities. Like I haven't never seen solo people kind of like staying behind at all. Like the group, usually it's very welcoming and it's more of like what you said. Okay, what's your interest? Okay, I like that. I'll go with you. Okay, let's go together kind of thing. So it develops really well.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't want to put you on the spotlight, Sue, but one of the things I've heard from other alumni is, oh yeah, I mean, we made real friends there, and people like I'm still in touch with them even after the program. And so I don't know if that happened for you, but it's I think it's really interesting because in retirement, I don't even know if you're retired, Sue, but in retirement, I know that a lot of people's identity, is like, oh, I'm an accountant. I work for this company. But now in retirement, that goes away, right? Or I'm a dad of my kids who go to the school and I'm friends with other parents, from the kids' school. But the kids are grown up now. The school community is sort of a distant memory. Um, maybe I have my church or my faith group. Sure, that's an important part of one's life. But, but your identity sort of changes in retirement. For me, and one of the reasons I started this is I really deeply love travel and exploring other cultures. And to find other people who share that like deep, deep value. These are my tribe. These are the people I want to hang out with. These are people who love travel and appreciate the world. And so then I meet people who are truly become my friends. Oh.
We hosted one of the couples, so we're in Iowa. A couple that we were with, they live in Vermont. They were in the Midwest, and we hosted them at our house for a couple of nights. They've never been to Iowa, so we gave them some tours. And then at the end of August, we're going to the East Coast to visit them and one of the solo travelers of our friends who she lives in New Hampshire. So we're definitely keeping in touch and remaining friends with these people. It's been very fun.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's one of my favorite things to hear from our alumni because I think that's what retirement's all about. Friends,
Yep.
community. All right. So the community manager, you've had Tina on this webinar. You're like, okay, I kind of get it. And she's, but the community manager to me is the linchpin of this program. This is the person who is sort of the bridge, is how I think of it, who is kind of facilitating a sense of community. It's not just a bunch of random travelers in apartments, it's a community, and that takes some finesse. But also, it's not, you're not going to Barcelona just to hang out with Americans. You want to connect with the local community, the actual Barcelona, Catalonia community in Spain. So how do you get connected into what's happening there? And that's where our community manager is so great because they live there, they love the city, they know what's happening, and they also understand what it's like to be a foreigner who's kind of arrived into a new city. And they're there to support that and also facilitate this connection to the community. Tina, I'll let you just talk about your job a little bit, and then Sue, you can jump in after Tina and just say, like, so what did that look like in your own experience? But Tina, why don't you explain the role?
Yeah, I always like to say, and especially on my welcome calls, that we're not a tourist agency. We are a program dedicated to independent travelers who wants to have the experience of living like a local and living abroad, but wants to have that community. And we create that community for you, and we create the activities for the community build up so that you can, you know, feel welcome, but you end up doing a lot of things on your own pace and on your own way. And I am a support, but for the community. Like I don't necessarily plan your trips, but we have this thing that we do the first week, which we call the one-to-ones. And it's that the community managers sit down with whoever wants to sit down with me, because everything is voluntarily here also. And it's more like, because we all have different interests and we all like to different things. And it's more like, tell me what you like, and I'll tell you where to go or like what to do. And I'll give you a bunch of hints. And the way I do it, it's like I'll sit down with you. I'll make some notes, and then I'll take that, like make something, like plan something for you, and then send it to your WhatsApp so that you can have that through your whole trip. All those recommendations in there. We have a bunch of like I don't necessarily plan the activities, like I won't book them necessarily, but I will give you a lot of information of like things that you can do, how to get there, where to buy your tickets, recommend you some tours that we have vetted also, you know, that we know that they're good, they're worth it. And for the community, like then I'll sit down and be like, you know what, this person also wants to do that tour. Maybe you should talk to them and maybe you can all go together. You know, you put them all together. And then since we are together every week, because we're together for 3 days on a road, like it's just very natural to start talking to people and be more like, oh, you like that? Well, now I think you should go here, or like I recommend you to visit this place, or like we're gonna be near this neighborhood, and in this neighborhood you can find this and this and this. So after we finish the lunch club, I recommend you to visit this place or this house. You know, we recommend a lot of things, like, and at the end everybody choose what they want to do, but we're there to kind of like guide you through it, and obviously help if there's any emergencies. Like I have like broken tooth that has happened and we need like emergency dentist, or like March group, for example, it rained a lot, so everybody got a cold. So you know, like getting everybody to a doctor to like, because things, it not in a month, everything can happen. And it's good to talk about the fun things, and also when it comes to a challenge, but we're there to help and walk you through that challenge. So yeah, we assist, we support. That's the community manager job, and we're there to help the build up of the community.
Thank you. So Sue, what did that look like for you?
Well, I loved the one-on-one meeting, because that was really helpful. It helped you just really think about, okay, what do I want to do? Because like they asked a lot of good questions, and I did not. I did when I went. I really had not planned much, and had not. I in my brain, I didn't even think about much. I just, because I had a bad year, because I broke my ankle. But so them getting my brain started working on what do I want to do, and I do have to plan some of this stuff, because I know a month sounds like forever, but it's not. One thing I know with Tina, I remember I wanted like a quirky museum or a quirky activity, and she sent us to the White Rabbit Museum, which we loved. Uh, and we might be the only people who liked that, but it was quirky. So I
A
think
lot
she
of
knew
people go
our
there
personality.
now.
I love that place. I just think it's really, and it's like, I don't know that anybody else was interested, but we thought, so I think she knew us enough to know that, oh, that'd be something they'd like. And then also they helped so much with suggesting, and like they knew what was going on in the community. Like we got to see the tower build, the what do you call them, the people towers,
The people towers in the, yeah,
Yes, and stuff like that
like,
that we didn't know, but you guys like knew what was going on around town. Like maybe you're gonna want to do this Friday night, or maybe you're gonna want to do that, or so that was so helpful too. Just those things that the festivals, the local festivals that were going on that we didn't that maybe we wouldn't have known about. And so that was really
a fun fact, Sue was my first group as a community manager. And now, one thing that I have adopted to is that I have created a new WhatsApp community that it's called, WhatsApp group that it's called resources. So I like only have that to send information of like the things that are going on like every weekend. Like for example,
oh, that's awesome.
right now, my group, it's on, we have the orchestra at the beach because it's summertime. So yeah, we have the national orchestra at the beach and I send them that. And today in the activity, one of them was like, why do I have in my calendar that there's orchestra in the beach? And I'm like, because I sent you that through the resource channel. It's like, oh, I have it. I'm going there tonight. So that works pretty well too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. I mean, Sue, exactly what you said is just so right on. They get to know you as a human being and then can suggest things to help you make the most of your month in Barcelona. And you and I are different. And I know when I've gone to places, our community managers say, Andrew, I know you like jazz. You know, there's a jazz concert happening, you know, at the university or something. How on earth would I know that at the university there's like a student jazz concert? But how cool too, right? I get to go do something like that. And there's orchestra on the beach. I mean, who would have known, right? So, and really, to those who are, you know, attending this webinar, I would say, think about what you want to get out of this for yourself and who you are. Some people want to learn Spanish. Some people want to learn more cooking. Some people are really into, you know, art. This is a resource for you to say, look, I raised my hand. I really want to learn about architecture in Barcelona. And Tina can give you more resources for you to spend your month going deep into architecture. So anyway, I think the community manager, as I said, linchpin. I'm glad to hear that it was a great resource for you too, Sue.
Mhm.
Because in the end, I kind of hinted at this a little earlier, but the program is, in my mind, a canvas or a scaffold. We provide some infrastructure, but it's up to you to paint your own picture. You know, do you want it to look more like this or more like that? And we can help you do that. But in the end, everyone's experience looks a little different, but it is, you know, with the supportive community and all of that. Sue, just kind of what did your portrait look like for over the course of the month?
Um, I'd say a lot of food, really great food, because my husband and I are foodies, so we really wanted like the local foods and to understand that, and so a lot of that. I mean, we walked and walked and walked and just enjoyed every street of that city.
You explored neighborhoods. Like, okay, today we're gonna
We
go.
did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we aren't we did La Grada Familia, but we're not like really into all the cathedrals and that, but a lot of the people in the group were, so they did. Whereas we were like, let's try that Mussels restaurant that's a mile away, that's, you know, really looks awesome. And on the way, we'll see what's going to be there. What else is in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
So we were we weren't as um, the big. We did the big tourist attractions, but we like the neighborhood stuff better.
Got it. Cool.
We're living like a local.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
But you reminded us. Yes, you reminded us a lot, Tina. You got to live like a local.
So, you know, one of the things about this webinar and having an alumni on is that you just get a direct perspective of someone who was on the program. Sue, could you talk to the group about a highlight or a high point, but then maybe something that you didn't like so much or was challenging, or, you know, something you'd say like, beware, you know, this program might not be right for some people because of something you experienced in your opinion. So kind of a high and low, however you want to take that.
Um, I guess people who aren't curious and about other cultures would not be a good fit. I can't say, I can't think of anything we really didn't like because everything was new and interesting. So, I mean, the highlights was just every day. I mean, I'm a napper and I did not nap once this entire month because it was too interesting. It's like there was always something so interesting to see or walk down the street. So, I mean, but you have to be curious and open-minded, I guess. I'm not about food, maybe. I mean, you're not going to find, the food is definitely different and wonderful. So you have to be open-minded about food. I felt like the people, it was just a pretty chill city. We never saw any aggression or, I mean, nothing. Not the whole time we were there. We never saw anything like that, which was nice coming from, sometimes, sometimes that's not the case. So that was just, we felt safe all the time.
Talk to me about
So,
Spanish. I don't know if you speak Spanish or not, but was language a difficulty at all, a barrier?
no, I speak un poco, very little Spanish, but um, no, it really wasn't at all. I
How did
can't
you get
say not
by?
one.
People spoke English, or you Google Translate, or Poco Español got along
Some
with?
Google
Sign language.
Translate, right? Some Google Translate, and I think just everyone was very accepting of, to try to converse, and I try to speak. My husband knows no Spanish, so it just wasn't. It wasn't at all an issue.
Got it. Got it. And we don't do formal language Spanish lessons, but I think we do some basic phrases as like a crash course, just because I think it goes a long way when you can walk into the place and hola and this and habla inglés and no, okay. So at least I tried, and we're clear that there's a little bit of a thing here, and we find ways to overcome it through signs or broken English, broken Spanish, and Google Translate, and but yeah, I think that's from my experience in Barcelona, that's been very easy for people to get by
Mhm.
with that. It just, yeah, when I asked like, who's it not right for, you said not curious. And I think that's, many people say, well, who's not curious, right? But I think I will spin that with your permission just a little bit to say, this is really important because we're not a tour, right? If you're on a tour, it's like, we're going to show you each day, now we're going to see this, and now we're going to see this. Now we're going to see that. Tomorrow, we're going to you're going to like curate and just kind of take you from place to place and what you need to see. Because this is independent, it's not a tour. It's sort of up to you to have some curiosity or some desire to go deeper into some area. And if you don't have that, well, you might also just find it to be a relaxing month, to be in a chill place. But it's again, it sort of puts the onus on the traveler versus on a tour company, which we are not, to do that. So I think that's a really good point, Sue.
Mhm.
You were there in February. People say, "Oh, what's it like?" There's not really a bad time to go to Barcelona. This is sort of the weather, highs and lows, just the average. Now we don't have programming next year in for 2026. We don't have programs in July and August. Um, Tina's thankful. That is the time when it gets hottest and it does get most crowded. Um, but even in February it's all relative. And my people in Arizona and Florida saying, "Oh no, that looks cold," But our folks in Montana and Iowa and New Hampshire are like, "Oh my, February, the high of 60 it sounds dreamy." So it really not a bad time to go to Barcelona. And so encourage people to check it out. We do have seasonal pricing. You can see that on our website. We'll get into that more, but February is considered low season for us, so the price is a little bit lower, and it has to do with our housing partners in country. For us, high season starts to go into March, April, and May. And then September, October, because it's sort of the shoulder season where it's just right for a lot of people. But February is not a bad time, and neither is November. It's the Mediterranean, folks. Sue mentioned you went to Girona and Sitges, right? And
Yes.
Barcelona is great, in Spain in general. There's a high-speed rail system, so it's very easy to get around the country. And Barcelona is a major city, so it has good connections. You can even get to Valencia in just a few hours. If you want to hop a plane, Mallorca is nearby. And I would say, I don't know, Sue, you could talk about your group or Tina in general. I'd say like 65% of the people go away on some weekends. They do some exploration. Would you say that's about right, Sue, in your group?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe
Even
even
more.
a little bit more. Because we had somebody who flew to Lisbon. We had somebody who flew to Mallorca, Girona, Sitges. So there was quite a few of us who did take advantage of the easy train system and flights.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just use our program as a home base, but get to explore the larger region, and even into neighboring countries.
I think
Mhm.
one thing to mention about Barcelona and Spain as a city of the program is that Barcelona has a great transportation public system, probably one of the best. So it's really easy to get on a train and get to any of these other cities. So it looks like you're going away, but it's super easy to have like like even day trips to Girona or like an overnight, it doesn't have to be the whole weekend. Some people did like day trips or to Tarragona, Girona, Sitges, other people would do overnights. Or you can do like, weekends or like Madrid. And then we're super close to France. Like some people have gone to France, some people have gone to Italy, some people have flight to Lisbon, some people have gone to the south. Like people have been very creative of like going from Barcelona to other places around. And I thought at the beginning that it wasn't gonna be like that, but they are actually like, like exploring Mallorca. Now in the summer, a lot of people are going to Mallorca for the weekend. So yeah, it's a great city to do stuff in here, but you have so many things that you can do around that there doesn't take you so much time or like tire you so much because the speed trains usually gets you there pretty fast, so it's a fun thing to do also to get around if you have the time.
Yeah, love it. Just some considerations for people attending this webinar. Again, this is not a tour, it's an independent experience. I think it's very important to set expectations. It does require a lot of walking. You will walk. There's no activities where we pick you up in a bus and take you somewhere and bring you back in the bus. It's not this program. And you will take public transportation. That is a part of it. And now, as Tina and Sue both mentioned, like, it's really easy to get around. You just have to take the leap and become comfortable with taking public transportation. And we teach it to you in the orientation how the system works. And in the apartment building where we are at, there's a subway station just right at the base. You just go to the ground floor and then go underground, and there's a subway there, or you can walk. And using Google Maps is really helpful for navigating subways and buses and walking. So I do encourage people to think like, do I have enough? You don't have to be a techie, but do I have enough basic understanding of like how Google Maps works, how to use my cell phone in a foreign country? We can help you, we can all this, but know that since this is independent, there is some onus on you to be able to use basic tools to be able to get around. Another thing is guests may visit, but they don't participate in the scheduled community activities. And part of that is we have so many people have guests coming through that the sense of community is lost if every week there's like five random people or three random people, and it's always sort of changing. And it's like, wait, who's in this community? So we ask please to keep, you have your guests, that's fine. You can do things with them outside of the scheduled activities. And of course, there's a lot of other ad hoc community activities that just sort of spark up, as like the sundowners that Sue mentioned. So we just ask the preserve that sense of community that we're trying to foster. Next steps, you're like, okay, this sounds good. I enjoyed this webinar. What do I do? Well, if you want to book, you click the book now button, and you can see all the dates and prices. You can just click book now and the filter through to find what works for you. There's $395 per person to place your deposit and hold your spot. A month later, you pay half, and then 100 days before you go, you pay the other half. On average, people are booking this 9-10 months in advance, so it's a bit upfront and a bit before you go. And then we have a cancellation policy that you can find on the website and read here on the slide. If it's more than 120 days out and something happens, we understand life happens, an ankle, suddenly if you booked a year in advance and in that meantime, turns out one of your kids is having a baby and you need to be there, we can move that deposit. You can transfer it to a credit and apply it to a future trip. And the first payment is refunded to you. All right, we're moving into the Q&A section. Let me jump over here. So one of the costs is, what's the total cost for Barcelona? It depends on the season. It depends on which apartment size, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment. That's where I say I would go click that book now button and you'll see all the price options. It's very clearly laid out when you click that. Another question was, please start from the beginning. All right, let's go into some more questions here. Would I feel comfortable as a single person going, will I be alone or mostly couples? I think we've covered that pretty extensively during the course of the conversation. Very inclusive for solos, and about a third of them are solo travelers. I'm going to be there in August. What do we need to know about Catalan National Day on September 11th? Tina, anything to that? Probably just that some parties.
Usually there's kind of like demonstrations on different part of the cities, but that you can enjoy. But I don't have the schedule of any of them till like it has to be closer to the September.
But it doesn't really affect.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Disadvantage of not speaking Spanish. We talked about that. There wasn't a problem. Weather in late February. Is it warm enough for outdoor dining in late February?
So
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We ate outside all month. Every day.
if you have a good weather time in Barcelona, even though when it's cold, and I put it, because it's not cold, it's relative. We have the sun out mostly every day. So when the sun is out, it's always nice to be like, you'll see everybody on the terrace and outside. Like we are an outside city. We just come to home to go to bed.
Could you help me set up Spanish language classes during my free time?
So we do this thing that we call the city guide. And whenever you book a tour with us, 90 days before your arrival to Barcelona, we send you this city guide. It's a bunch of information that we have collected with things that like to do. And in there, we recommend some of like Spanish schools in case that you want to do some Spanish classes while you're here. So we give you that information even before your arrival.
Yeah, we have relationships with different Spanish schools that you can connect and do either private one-on-one, which is nice because it's more flexible with the scheduling, or you can join like small group classes. And also, we talk about this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, we do things. We don't take the whole day. For a lot of people, this is what they love. It's lunch. It's a couple of hours, and you don't have to get back on the bus with everyone. You can go off and do your own thing. Thursday, it's just a happy hour. You really do have a lot of time to do your own exploration and plan your own types of activities. And we could definitely do that with Spanish classes. Sounds like there's a lot of drinking during these programs. Is it fun for people who don't drink? I think that's a fair question. Tina, you've probably had people who don't drink in your program. Can you comment on that?
I have a person who doesn't drink right now in the program that it's running, and he's having a lot of fun. Actually, it's very fun because he doesn't drink, but we did the wine class, and it's a wine tasting. So we do a blind wine tasting. So you smell, you look at the density, you kind of like gets the hints, and then you uh bet on what you think it is, and he was winning only by, like, he wasn't drinking, he was just smelling, checking the colors and following the class and what he was teaching, and he was winning on the betting. So we obviously we have non-alcohol drinks, we have soft drink in every activity. Like, there's not only wine and alcohol in the activities. You also get, like, soft drinks, sparkling water, non-alcohol drinks. We do ask this of everyone before your arrival, so I can adjust to everybody, not only on the drinking side, but also if you have any dietary restriction, we do ask those questions so that we can, like, make everybody comfortable and for everybody to enjoy while they're here.
There was a question on slide 10, menu of optional activities, key affinities. Just means there's things not included in the program you might want to do that you can go sign up for. For example, people mentioned Sagrada Familia. Someone who likes cathedrals might say, I want to go to Sagrada Familia. It's optional, not included. And then people get together and Tina can say, oh, this is a great Sagrada Familia tour. I think it's very good. Or go do whatever one you find on your own. It's no obligation. And that's what I mean by optional activities. My wife is a bridge player. Do bridge games organically come together for members of the group? Could you connect her with a local bridge club? Her Spanish language skills are sufficient for this experience. I don't know anything about bridge in Spain, but
Me neither. I don't even know what bridge is. I'm sorry.
don't know if it might have another name in Spanish that we're not aware of. But Sue, any chance that the community got together and played some bridge?
No, we didn't. I don't know how to play bridge.
I'm just gonna
But
say
they
this,
might have if somebody had asked. I'm not sure.
and I'm just gonna put this out there. I am a person that I don't see troubles or problems. I see solutions and options, and if it exists, I'll find it for you. That's like, obviously I don't have all the answers because I don't know it all, but I will find the answer for you. So if it exists, if you ask me and I can find it, I will give the information to you.
Got it. Yep. Thank you for that. Let's keep moving along. I know we're running out of time and I want to get to as many questions as possible. One bedroom apartments, you have studios. No, we do not have studios in Barcelona. Sorry. It's one bedroom. It's Madrid. I showed a slide. It's about 2.5 hours on a high-speed train. Basque Country, you can also get to by train and you can visit places on the weekends. What side trips are most popular? I think you heard from Sue. Sitges, Girona, Tarragona, Zaragoza, all very nearby. Kitchen facilities in the apartment, microwave, stovetop for making breakfast, dishes, towels. Yes, there's a microwave, there's a dishwasher, there's a washing machine, plates, crockery, frying pan, saucepan, I believe or at least for boiling water. Not a gourmet kitchen, but enough for making some basic meals, definitely for breakfast. I see a lot of people will go out for a nice meal in the middle of the day, and at night maybe make a salad and make a light meal or even leftovers from earlier in the day. But yes, it's definitely a kitchen that you could cook in. Are there people from Barcelona? I want to interact with people from Barcelona. Are people from Barcelona in our building? I don't know who all is in the building. It's 100 apartments in that building. But in terms of connecting with people from Barcelona, Tina, do you want to speak to that? And Sue?
I mean, you have to remember that these are midterms apartments, so they're more directly to people that live that comes to Barcelona for a short periods of time, or like 6 months, or like so not necessarily on the buildings you're gonna find Barcelonian in there, but you are coming to Barcelona. Like, once you get out the street, like, you'll find, and there's also in here that there's places that you can come to, like speak to, you know, to learn Spanish on a cafe or things like that. So once you get out of the building, everyone that you're gonna find, it's a Barcelonian.
Yeah. Okay, let's just bunch a few more. How much to budget for the month? I mean, let's for a moment say you could spend an infinite amount of money if you go to Michelin-starred restaurants every night and go on expensive tours. So let's put that aside for a second. Let's say, on average, like Sue, do you have any guidance for people? Like, how did you think about it? You don't have to tell us your exact number, but like, how did you think about budgeting for it?
We didn't. We didn't
Okay.
budget. But I can't tell you, we did a lot of, we're not into Michelin star restaurants and that kind of thing. We like local food. And we were shocked and appalled how cheap everything was and inexpensive when we'd have a meal. I mean, we were like, this is so like we were planning on maybe doing some cooking, and we ended up hardly doing any because there were so many good restaurants just right there, and it was so inexpensive. So we just didn't.
I think that's a great point too, Sue, is you can go to Barcelona. Maybe you've been there like on a cruise or on a tour, and you go to the tourist restaurants and you can spend a lot of money. But when you're there for a month and you get to know the local places and you learn what this menu del dia is, and you realize, oh, I could actually go to the local places and not spend much at all. It changes the equation completely. People often will push me. I want a number. How much should I budget for? I said, look, let's put eating out and tours aside. Maybe you'll go out for some, lunches or whatnot. I would say it's $1,000 for the month for groceries. If you're going to be cooking, going to the market, maybe having like light lunches. And then you add in the tours and I want to go out for a special meal, or it's going to be my birthday and I want to do a very fancy thing. Then I'd say start adding things in. But I think with $1,000, you could have a pretty nice month there. But again, all depends on how much you want to spend on your own things. When is the rainy season, Tina?
So Barcelona is pretty dry most of the year. We can get some rain because I'm not gonna say it's a rainy season. We can get some rain either from February till March, like usually it's February. This year it wasn't February, it moved to March. We can't predict the weather anymore. Uh, and maybe in October you get a little bit of rain, but it's not like, it's that kind of rain that you can go outside and do stuff, that it's not like super pouring rain every day. It's more like, oh, it's raining, and you take your umbrella and you go everywhere with your umbrella kind of thing. So we were in a draw for 3 years. This is the first year that it rained. Actually, we haven't had rain in 3 years. So there's not a rainy season. Like you never know when it's gonna rain, actually.
Okay, quick ones here. Again, we're past time, so I'm sorry if we don't get to your questions. No refunds, only credits. Yes, if your deposit, if you cancel, converts to a credit, the rest of it is refunded, but the deposit is held as a credit and is non-refundable. Our apartment's air conditioned. Yes. Thumbs up there. How much is cash used on a daily basis? Sue, cash versus card, what did you do?
I think we pretty much always did card.
Card everywhere.
Yeah.
We're booked. In February, Sue, did you need winter clothes? That's a question.
We did, but it wasn't like I had a puppy coat and a scarf, but a lot of times I'd just wear a sweater and maybe the scarf, like an layered sweater.
Got it. It's more like fall weather at night. Maybe you bring a light jacket. Health
Right.
insurance, we provide, it's included in your program fee. Travel medical insurance is included. Performing arts, plays, music, there's orchestras, opera, symphony, plays. Are there plays in English, Tina, is one of the questions.
Are there plays? You mean like
Plays, like I didn't hear theatrical things where it's spoken that might be in English.
It depends on the artist. Some artists, they're international and they don't speak any other language but only English. So some of them are English, some of them could be other languages too. It depends on the artist.
Um, okay. Flights, you book your own flight. You provide your flight information to us before you go. How safe is Barcelona for people who are Muslim and Jewish? Is it a concern for anti-religious sentiment?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, we are now 12 minutes past, and I really want to be respectful of our guests' time. So thank you, Sue, for joining us. Thank you, Tina, for your time. If we didn't get to your questions, I know there's more questions. It's sort of a never-ending stream of questions. You can please email our office, info@thegoodlifeabroad.com, info@thegoodlifeabroad.com, and send your specific questions there, and we'll reply over to you, get back to you. A lot of very specific questions that are probably better handled one-on-one. So again, thank you, Tina and Sue. Appreciate your time very much.
It was a pleasure. Bye-bye.
See you all in Barcelona. Bye.